all you lovely kings, queens, and in-betweens, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Elaine, and today I'm going to be talking about Hell's Paradise and how the Yamada Asaemon may just be expendable. Hell's Paradise focuses on Gabimaru, a ninja who has been sentenced to death. Yet every execution attempt fails thanks to his extraordinary resilience. Convinced that his lingering will to live stems from his love for his wife, the executioner Yamada Asaemon Sagiri proposes a deal. Gabimaru will earn a full pardon from the Shogunate if he retrieves the fabled elixir of life from Shinsenkyo. After several prior expeditions vanished largely without a trace, the Shogunate decides to send a team of condemned criminals, each paired with a Yamada Asaemon overseer, to the island to retrieve the elixir. To secure their freedom, the convicts must survive the journey and return with their Asaemon babysitter and the elixir. The shogun has chosen to send the criminals to the island to fetch the elixir of life because he views them as expendable. By extension, this would mean that the Yamada Asaemon are also expendable, being that he's willing to send them along to babysit. A decision that seems odd when you really think about it, partially because if the criminals are expendable, why would it matter if they follow any rules to get the shogun what he's after? And partially because the Yamada Asaemon are extremely skilled warriors who have offered their talents as sword testers and executioners for countless generations. They are a clan of master swordsmen capable of beheading a target with a single blow. Why would the shogun be willing to risk the lives of such a renowned clan who have provided their services for generations? The only conclusion I can come up with is that the shogun sees them as expendable or otherwise wants to get them out of the way. There are historical precedents for the shogunate making a move like this. During the Edo period, when Hell's Paradise takes place, the Tokugawa shogunate almost never sent samurai on overt suicide missions in battle, as the entire political system depended on maintaining internal peace. However, the shogunate absolutely used other methods to weaken, punish, or eliminate samurai in domains they considered threatening. These tactics included deadly forced labor, punitive construction projects, exile to remote islands, or ento, financial strangulation, and the enforced use of seppuku. While these actions did not look like war, they still resulted in death, suffering, and the effective removal of samurai or clans from political power. One of the clearest Edo period examples of samurai being sent into conditions resembling a suicide mission is the Horeki River incident, which took place from 1754 to 1755. The Tokugawa shogunate ordered the Satsuma domain to undertake a massive and extremely dangerous flood control construction project along the Kiso River, Nagara River, and Ibi River. Historians widely interpret this as a punitive assignment rather than a normal piece of public works. The Bakufu, or military government led by the shogun, manipulated conditions so the project became nearly impossible, forcing Satsuma samurai to work in brutal environments with inadequate support. The result was catastrophic. 85 samurai died, including 51 who committed seppuku and 33 who succumbed to disease. While not a battlefield charge, this assignment placed samurai in conditions where death was highly likely and served as a political punishment. Functionally, the Edo period equivalent of a suicide mission. Exile, or ento, was another effective method for removing samurai. When samurai were convicted of crimes or violated shogunate expectations, they could be exiled to remote islands such as Hachijojima, Miyakijimi, Nijima, or Kozushima. These islands were isolated, volcanic, and poorly provisioned, meaning exile was often a slow death sentence. Food shortages were common, medical care was non-existent, and the distance from the mainland cut off any meaningful support. Some forms of exile, especially lifelong sentences, destroyed a samurai's social standing, wealth, and political relevance. While not as immediate as seppuku, ento eliminated samurai from both the political and physical landscape. The shogunate also used other administrative tools to weaken samurai lineages without open warfare. Forced seppuku was employed for lords or retainers who violated laws or posed political threats, ending bloodlines or reducing their authority. Economic pressure was another powerful weapon. The bakufu could increase required contributions, assign burdensome projects, or manipulate land assessments to financially cripple a domain. In some cases, such as with certain tozama, or outside daimyo, the shogunate intentionally burdened them with tasks that drained resources or undermined morale. These methods achieved the same result as warfare, neutralizing rivals, but through bureaucratic rather than military means. Taken together, these practices show that the Tokugawa shogunate rarely used direct battlefield suicide missions, but it frequently used covert, administrative, and punitive strategies that placed samurai in deadly situations or removed them permanently from power. Forced labor that led to death, exile that isolated and erased individuals, and economic or ritual pressure were all tools wielded deliberately to maintain the stability and supremacy of the shogunate without resorting to open conflict. As I mentioned previously, Hell's Paradise takes place during the Edo period in Japan, and one can argue that the shogunate is using two different techniques to eliminate or otherwise weaken the Yamada Asaemon clan. One, they are knowingly sending them on a dangerous mission from whence they may not return, and two, they are essentially sending them into exile exile. The samurai are being forced to go to a remote island and are not allowed to return until their mission is complete, meaning either they have to return with their convict who has successfully retrieved the elixir of life for the shogun, or without their criminal who has succumbed to some danger on the island. Why would the shogun do this? Why are the Yamada Asaemon being viewed as expendable? Being that the majority of the show takes place on Shinsenkyo, we don't have much of a window into the life of the Japanese populace during this time. The glimpses we do get are sparse and a mixture of both positive and negative things. For example, the Blade Dragon enjoys a life of relative comfort working for a lord prior to his capture, while Tenza grew up on the streets and struggled through a life of poverty before Shion took him on as a student, making it clear that there is a sharp divide between those that are wealthy and those that are poor, something that is reflected within Japan's history. The social climate of Edo-period Japan, which was from 1603 to about 1868, was characterized by rigid hierarchy, political stability, and enforced isolation, creating a society that valued order, loyalty, and conformity. Under the Tokugawa shogunate, Japan was organized into a strict four-tiered class system: samurai, peasants, artisans, and merchants, though within each category there were numerous subclasses and roles. Samurai occupied the top tier as warriors and bureaucrats, but their role gradually shifted from active military service to administrative and ceremonial functions, especially as the country entered a long period of peace. This transformation sometimes caused tension, as many samurai found their status challenged by wealthy merchants or faced frustration from economic pressures imposed by the shogunate. The Edo era was marked by political stability and centralized control enforced through mechanisms such as the Senkin Kotai system, which required daimyo to alternate living between their domains in Edo. This policy both asserted shogunal authority and drained domain finances, preventing rebellion while keeping local lords under observation. Similarly, the shogunate imposed laws regulating marriage, castle construction, and succession, ensuring that even powerful daimyo could not challenge the bakufu's supremacy. The consequence of these policies was a relatively peaceful society, but one with highly controlled personal and political freedoms. Economically and culturally, the Edo period saw relative prosperity alongside simmering social tension. Merchants, though legally beneath samurai, often amassed considerable wealth, creating subtle friction between monetary power and social status, as their influence sometimes rivaled that of lower-ranking samurai. Cities like Edo, Osaka, and Kyoto became vibrant hubs of commerce and culture, giving rise to a Kyo-e prince, kabuki theater, and bustling pleasure quarters, which reflected both the freedoms and constraints of urban life. In contrast, rural areas bore the brunt of the shogunate's strict social and economic controls. Peasants were heavily taxed, required to maintain detailed household registers, and subjected to strict village regulations, leaving many struggling to survive. These pressures, combined with oppressive local governance, occasionally sparked uprisings, the largest of which was the Shimabara Rebellion, which took place between 1637 and 1638. The rebellion occurred in the Shimabara domain, where the daimyo Matsukura Katsui implemented brutally high taxes to fund the construction of Shimabara Castle and violently suppressed Christianity. Discontented peasants, many of whom were Catholic, allied with local ronin under the leadership of Amakusa Shiro to resist these policies. The Tokugawa shogunate responded with a massive military force of over 125,000 troops, supported by the Dutch, laying siege to the rebels' stronghold at Hara Castle. After months of fighting, the rebellion was crushed. Amakusa Shiro and an estimated 37,000 rebels and sympathizers were executed, and the Shimabara domain was assigned to Koriki Tadafusa. Matsukura Katsui himself was investigated and beheaded in Edo, the only daimyo executed during the Edo period. While the rebellion is often remembered as a Christian uprising, historians now emphasize that it was primarily a revolt against misgovernment, with religion playing a secondary role. The Shimabara rebellion demonstrated how extreme taxation, religious oppression, and misrule could provoke the rural population, highlighting the underlying social tensions that persisted beneath the shogunate's otherwise stable rule. Finally, Edo society was defined by isolationist foreign policy, or sakoku, which limited contact from the outside world and fostered a uniquely Japanese culture. Foreign trade was restricted to specific ports and controlled through intermediaries like the Dutch. This isolation reinforced social stability, but also created tension when samurai and merchants sought knowledge, technology, or cultural influence from abroad. Overall, Edo-period Japan's social climate was one of controlled order, hierarchical rigidity, and relative peace, punctuated by economic and cultural dynamism that occasionally generated friction and unrest. The Yamada Asaemon are described as extremely skilled warriors who have offered their talents as sword testers and executioners for countless generations. They are a clan of master swordsmen capable of beheading a target with a single blow. The key part of this description description is for countless generations. They have been around for quite some time, meaning that they have had the time to create a reputation for themselves. They are the best executioners, and their clan is so powerful that they can withstand the test of time. They have been able to overcome any financial hardship Japan has been faced with, any political tension, any clan or group of people that ever tried to get rid of them. They are a formidable clan with some degree of power, both in terms of the class system at the time and their staying power. Given both their size and their line of work, they could easily be seen as a potential threat by the shogunate, because despite there being peace, there is also some degree of tension. The shogunate, knowing this, may choose to get rid of the Yamada Asaemon, knowing that they could pose a threat to him and his reign should they decide to turn on him because of this tension. That phrase, for countless generations, really matters. It tells us that this isn't some small, disposable group that appeared overnight. This is a samurai clan that has survived everything Japan has thrown at it. Political shakeups, economic crises, shifts in leadership, and the constant risk that comes with making your living by killing people for the state. Their survival alone means they've built up influence, recognition, and a quiet kind of authority. People fear them, but they also rely on them. That kind of presence becomes its own form of power. And that's exactly why the shogunate may want them gone. In Hell's Paradise, the Asaemon aren't just skilled. They're organized, disciplined, and loyal to their own clan first. They hold specialized knowledge about executions, anatomy, swordsmanship, and judgment. They literally decide how criminals die. A group like that, especially one that has lasted for so long, is always going to make a political leader nervous. Even if they aren't planning rebellion, they have the skill, structure, and authority to become a threat if they ever chose to. Sending them to Shinsenkyo, this unknown, impossible to survive hellscape, becomes a convenient way to thin the herd without openly declaring them enemies. If they die on the island, it's not the shogunate's fault. It's because the mission was dangerous. If they live, the shogunate still benefits from whatever they bring back. The Yamada Asaemon are in a paradoxical situation. They're some of the most skilled warriors in Japan, master swordsmen, executioners, the sort of people whose reputation alone commands fear and respect. But in a world ruled by the shogunate, that very reputation can make them a liability. Any group that's powerful, organized, and not completely under the shogun's thumb is a potential threat, no matter how loyal they appear. The Asaemon have survived wars, political upheaval, and centuries of service. Yet here they are being sent to Shinsenkyo on a mission that feels almost designed to kill them. From the shogun's perspective, this could be genius political strategy. Why openly attack or accuse a clan that's too powerful to confront directly when you can put them in a situation where survival is uncertain? What looks like a prestigious assignment, a test of skill, an important mission, might secretly be a way to thin the ranks, remove a potential rival, or even see if their loyalty will hold under impossible circumstances. Their legacy, discipline, and mastery, which normally inspire awe, suddenly become reasons for caution. The shogunate can never be entirely sure that a group with that much skill and autonomy won't turn on them if given the chance. The beauty and the danger of this situation is that we can only speculate about the shogun's true motives. Is he trying to punish the Asaemon, test them, eliminate them quietly? Has he heard whispers of disloyalty and is seeking to weaken them? Or is there some deeper game at play that we haven't seen yet? The tension is what makes their story so compelling. In a world where skill, loyalty, and reputation are no guarantee of safety, the Asaemon's mission in Shinsenkyo reminds us that survival depends just as much on navigating the whims of those in power as it does on one's own mastery, and only the story will reveal the shogun's true intentions. And there you have it, my thoughts on why the Asaemon are expendable within the eyes of the shogun. What did you think of my analysis? Did you agree or disagree with what I had to say? Are my thoughts flawed or missing anything? Let me know down below in the comments. I always like to know what you lovely kings, queens, and in-betweens think. And if you like what you saw here today, please smash that like button until it's blue. Subscribe, ring that bell so you'll always know what's up, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Bye guys!